Hello, everybody. We are down to the number two items and tips for running a great meeting. Again, before we get started, click the subscribe button, click the thumbs up, click the alert button so you don't miss future content coming from this channel. And then I will also post a link to the playlist so you can go back and listen to the other videos within this video series. You don't have to run them in order, by the way, so go ahead and just finish listening to this one all the way through the end. There will be a placard that comes up towards the end that you can click on to get to that playlist that I will make sure pops up for you. And then there'll also be a link in the description. We're going to jump right in and we're going to go ahead and cover number two and number one. One of the most critical things that you can do is having an agenda, and then making sure also, if you have an agenda, to cover the important topics first. So if you don't have an agenda and you haven't been putting an agenda in the meeting invite, you need to start doing that. It's going to do a couple of things, right? It's going to give people a heads up to know if they should come prepared to be able to speak to something. That's another thing that will kill your meeting, is that if you don't have an agenda, people don't know if they need to be prepared for something. And it also makes them feel uncomfortable if you ask them questions about a topic that they don't have the answer to or haven't prepared for. So if you make sure that you're consistently having an agenda, people will get used to popping open your meeting invite to see what's being covered, or if they have any action items that they're responsible for that they need to cover, right? Does a couple of things also, right? It helps you facilitate good meeting attendance. And then if somebody, has a conflict, because a lot of times you're double and triple booked, if you're anything like my calendar at least, and people are trying to determine if they need to attend a meeting or not. And if there's nothing that's going to be covered on your meeting agenda, a lot of times people will send me a note saying, hey, I don't see anything that needs to be covered by me. Am I cool to miss the meeting today? And I'm like, absolutely. Or I'll say, actually, there is something that I know that this is marked for somebody else, but it's going to pivot back to you. So I would like it if you attend, but you need to make sure that if you, as much as possible, that you're providing an agenda up front to people so that they know what's coming up and they're not caught by surprise. Because again, that will totally derail your meeting and kill your meeting if you schedule a half an hour meeting and nobody's prepared to talk about what you're supposed to, what you have on the agenda. The other thing too is that not only put an agenda together, but don't put the Mickey Mouse topics that could be pushed off, that have a longer tail or a completion date on them. Don't put those at the top, right? That's not what you should be focusing on anyway. You should be talking about the important items, any risk issues, action items or decisions or follow-up items that were, brought up from the prior meeting. Those should be at the top, right? Prior meeting topics that, got tabled and pushed off to this meeting, those should be at the very top. And then in importance of criticality should come after that on down. So it should basically be level of importance from top to bottom. That way, if you run out of time and those not less important things aren't covered, you're okay with pushing them to the next meeting. So just want to encourage you to really consider that, because again, this is really critical for you running a great meeting, and you want to be known for running a great meeting. If you can do nothing else in life, you want to run a great meeting. And then last one, stick to your agenda. Just gave you the building block for doing that in number two in terms of having an agenda and covering the important topics first. You should click on the links if you haven't seen the other videos. I cover a lot of things in depth that lead up to this most important thing, is sticking to your agenda. You can have an agenda, but if you let people derail your meeting, if you run down rabbit holes that don't allow you to stick to your agenda, doesn't matter if you have an agenda or not if you're not able to stick to it. So you need to facilitate. You need to be strong enough to say, hey, can we table an item and talk about it next week, or I'll schedule another meeting, or if this is just a one-off between two people having a conversation, don't let those two drive your meeting. Ask them if this is something that's beneficial for everybody else on the meeting, so you're respectful of their time. I guarantee you the person that's sitting there like, I do not feel like listening to Bobby and Johnny talk about X, Y, and Z, has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with this project. In my opinion, I don't even want to be here. If you're good about making sure people table things and take things offline, people will respect you. They'll appreciate your meetings. And again, your meeting attendance will, drive up. And if you're respectful of all the things that I've covered in this topic, you want to be known for running a great meeting, because again, it's only going to help facilitate your projects or your programs or your teams at the end of the day. If you're running good meetings, your teams will respect you. There's an art to it, and the better you get at these topics that we've covered here, the better it's going to help you overall in your career as well, right? directors and people that are doing the promotions are not going to promote you if you can't run a good meeting. I promise you that. So anyway, I'm going to cut you loose. Thank you for watching. And before I let you go, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, click the alert button. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I will put the video link to the playlist in the description. And then also the placard should be coming up right about now for you to click on to catch the other ones in case you missed them. Thanks.